Hello and welcome to Cooking Classic. I'm Kathy Coslett. Our guest chef tonight here on Cooking Classic is Certified Executive Chef Dave Pembleton.
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
And we are here at the Kowalski Auditorium and Media Center at the Joseph A. Paglianiti Culinary Arts Institute on the campus of Luzerne County Community College. It's right here in downtown Nanticoke. Now, Dave, tell us what you have in store for us tonight. What's on your menu?
Well, tonight the first dish we're going to do is a dish called Steak Diane, which probably many people are familiar with. And the second dish tonight we're going to do a stuffed shrimp. If you ever wanted to pair them together and take half of each, you could actually make a surf and turf. So we're going to show you how to do that tonight. Okay?
Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and about your educational background and how you ended up here in the kitchen of Cooking Classic.
Well, I originally went to college to be a music teacher, which I am not. After finishing my degree at IUP in music, I decided that wasn't the road I wanted to take, so I came to LCC, got my degree in culinary, became a sous chef, became an executive chef, and then the opportunity came here about 18 years ago for me to come to this campus and be a teacher in the same time as my wife and I wanted to have children. So it worked out very, very well. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Thanks. And you're in for a real treat tonight because sautéing is one of Chef Dave's favorites, and he's going to tell us all about that when we return to Cooking Classic right after this. And this is Cooking Classic, and we are with Certified Executive Chef Dave Pembleton.
Hello.
His dish tonight is Steak Diane.
Okay, so it's a sauté dish. We're going to start with a little bit of oil in the pan. You don't want to have too much oil in the pan because you're going to make the sauce in the pan and you don't want it to be too greasy. You also want the oil to be kind of hot. So did you notice I put a little bit of flour in the pan, and that kind of lets me know kind of where the temperature of the pan is. I like to flour the meat. I think it does a few things.
What is the cut of meat that you've selected for this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because most people would prefer filet mignon because it's very, very tender. But I myself, I prefer New York strip because I think it's more flavorful.
Okay. But then you did pound the meat, so that's where the tenderness comes in that you don't get from the filet mignon.
Not only that, you pound it too so it cooks quicker because this is a very, very quick cooking method. So for those two reasons, well, actually three reasons. It aids in caramelization too, so it helps the meat to brown nicely. Okay?
All right, you mentioned it's a quick cooking method. Is that one of the reasons that you like sautéing so much?
Yeah, because I like things I can get on the table very, very quickly and taste good. So yeah,
right. He's a dad too, so
right.
He's talking about getting on the table. Do you do most of the cooking at home?
Not most.
All.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
My kids once asked how they were going to get a good meal with Daddy away. So.
Yeah, my wife has her things. I have mine, and hers doesn't include cooking, so she likes me to do the cooking, and she has her own special things that she does.
Yeah, I cook, but on demand.
Right.
So.
Okay, so if you notice, we're looking for caramelization. And if you could pass me that oval plate over there, the meat is very, very brown. Okay, it's caramelized. It's one thing that sautéing does for you. Can you smell it? How does it smell? Good?
It does smell good. It smells really good.
So we're gonna brown this nicely on both sides. Now, you could rush this along, but I think some parts of cooking are very, very important. And the caramelization in this dish is that important that I'm not gonna rush it along. You can't buy that flavor in a can because if you could, I would, right? So you have to create it. So that's kind of what I'm doing right here.
So To what degree are you cooking the meat? So do we want the meat a little pink inside, or is that really all according to someone's taste?
That's a really good question. Depending on how you like your meat done. I like mine medium rare to rare, so I wouldn't cook mine very much on both sides. If you like it more well done, you'd have to cook it a little bit longer in this stage.
How do you control that then when it comes to the actual caramelization of the meat? If somebody likes their meat more rare than someone else?
What I would do is I'd take it out earlier. I'd take it out of the pan a little bit
And
earlier.
that's not going to affect the caramelization or what you want to do then with what's left in that pan.
Exactly, because there's a thing called the fond, another fancy cooking term, the fond, which are those like really nice flavor bits in the bottom of the pan. There's a lot of flavor in there, and our job in sautéing, one of the most important things about sautéing, is to kind of deglaze that from the bottom. Okay.
You know what? Let's back up a little bit too. Did you season that meat at all?
I did not.
Okay, that's important.
Some chefs would tend to season the meat. Some people would, but I think it brings moisture to the top, and if moisture comes to the top of the meat, it doesn't caramelize as well. So I don't like to season it. I'm going to season it at the end if I'm going to season it at all. But a good cut of meat caramelized properly with a good sauce, I'm not so sure we're going to need too much seasoning. Okay? So we're going to start our sauce here. We're going to start with butter. Okay? You notice I turned the pan off too. And the reason I turned the pan off is because I don't want the butter to burn. Now I'm going to put some shallots in here. Shallots give us a nice, it's kind of like an onion garlic type flavor. And I'm going to put some mushrooms in there.
And now everyone needs to know too, if the butter burns, we start all over, correct?
Well,
no masking that?
Well, if the butter burns, it gets a very, very bitter flavor. So I would start over.
You're not going to hide that anyway,
I wouldn't.
You know how.
I just get rid of it, start over. It doesn't take that long to saute, so that's kind of what I would do. Okay. So we're going to let the mushrooms cook a little bit. I'm going to use a wooden spoon. My mother used to use this for something else, but I'm going to use it for cooking.
The law today.
Yeah. So I'm going to stir these mushrooms around with this wooden spoon. At this point, I want to get the pan nice and hot. The reason I want to get the pan nice and hot is I want to caramelize the mushrooms and the onions too. I don't know if you're starting to smell this out there. I certainly am back here.
It looks really nice too.
Okay, browns it up nice. Now we're going to get the pan nice and hot, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to deglaze the pan, and that's usually done with some type of alcohol. Today I'm using a little bit of brandy. You could use Marsala wine. You could use some other things, but it requires you to have the pan pretty hot.
And to back up.
And I.
There we go.
I've burned my eyelashes off a couple of times doing that. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that reduce. We're going to take our spoon again.
Maybe I missed it in the flame, but how much brandy do you use?
I don't know, a few ounces, a couple of ounces. If you like more taste of that, you could use more.
Okay.
But the key is to cook it out. Okay, you notice I didn't put my sauce in there until those flames went away. That's the thing about deglazing.
And the alcohol burns off.
It does. Now we're going to put our brown sauce in.
All right, I have to ask about the brown sauce. That didn't just appear. You made that earlier today?
I did.
Okay.
Now in cooking here at the school, we would make a demi-glace, but a demi-glace takes about 16 hours to make, so we don't have that time at home. After I put the butter in and after I sautéed my vegetables, I could put a little bit of flour in there and then just use a canned beef broth. So there's lots of different ways to do this. So at school we teach the classic way, a demi-glace, but none of us have demi-glace at home. So what can you do? You can use beef broth, or you can use a canned beef sauce that you can buy in the store. And just the cooking method, you can achieve very, very close results using stuff right out of the grocery store. So now it's time to turn my flame down. And the reason I took the meat out of the pan, because some cooks don't do that. The reason I took the meat out of the pan is because if I left it in while I'm creating the sauce, it creates steam. And if you create steam, the proteins in the meat get tough. So we always, here at the school, we always make sure that we take the meat out of the pan when we're sautéing. That's the correct method.
And that goes for any type of meat, correct? Not just beef?
Yeah, all meat is primarily the same. Now we're just going to let that simmer. How long? I don't know. Until the sauce is thick enough, until it looks right. We're going to just let that simmer, okay? Now I've created enough here for 2. Now I'm going to garnish this with a little bit of parsley, just for color. And we've got some roasted red potatoes here that I'm going to put into the oven.
And what do you put on your roasted red potatoes?
Oh, I like a little bit of butter, half oil so they don't burn. A little bit of salt and pepper. If I had fresh rosemary, maybe I'd put some fresh rosemary, that kind of thing. I think that would be fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this with just a little bit of heavy cream. Some people use butter to finish. I know Julia Childs was very famous for finishing things with butter. That's because it gives it a lot of richness and that type of thing. Okay, we're going to just turn these over like so. I've made some broccoli for tonight, so I've had that steaming while this is happening.
Okay. How was that for help?
Okay, and you notice the broccoli's really bright green. Okay, that's because we've steamed it. And then we're going to get our roasted red potatoes out of the oven. And these are all things that you can do ahead of time. And my theory on plate presentation is that I don't like anything on the rim of the plate. This is how the plate
Okay, there you go.
would look.
It's beautiful, it's delicious, and we thank you again.
Well, thank you.
That was Steak Diane. When we return, it's stuffed shrimp on Cooking Classic.
Thinking of taking it to the next level? Make it happen! Luzerne County Community College offers a quality education at an affordable price. It's the best choice when you are trying to make something of yourself.
Luzerne County Community College makes it happen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cooking Classic. I'm Kathy Coslett, and this is Executive Chef Dave Pembleton.
Hello.
Hi, and we're glad that you stayed with us because in the second part of our program today, Chef Dave is making stuffed shrimp. It's all yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're going to start with, I like Gulf shrimp. It's not farm raised. I think it's a better quality shrimp. And I'm using jumbo shrimp. It's probably a 10 to 15 count per pound. Okay, so we worry about an ounce a piece. So I think it's a good place to start in how to peel and devein these properly. I hold them here in the center of my hand, and I just dig all of the shell out center. And I always peel it right to the end. A lot of people, they don't do that. I want to eat that piece of the shrimp, and if there's a shell on it, I can't. Okay? So I always peel that all the way to the end. Okay, the shells, when we're in class, we save because we make soup out of it. Okay, but for our purpose, we won't do anything with it.
All right, but you did leave the little tail part on. Don't
because it
take
makes
that
it look
off.
bigger and it makes it nicer. You know,
Right, and this is
eat with your eyes. first.
Yeah, you do. Now, this is going to sound really silly, but I have to bring it up because I know somewhere along the line it's going to happen. The shrimp are raw, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Raw.
go from there.
Yeah.
Don't buy cooked shrimp, right?
I wouldn't
There
buy
we
cooked
go.
shrimp unless I really had to.
Okay.
You know, if I had to feed a lot of people and I didn't have any staff, then you'd have to do what you have to do. But at home,
Okay.
I think that you can buy raw shrimp, and I would buy those type of domestic shrimp that we talked about. Okay. But there's a vein running down, a digestive tract running down the back that we have to remove. So I just cut straight through it just enough to get that out, and we remove that, and that's all there is to that. Okay. I butterfly them open like that. Okay. And now we can go and move on to our stuffing. Okay?
All right.
We can get rid of this.
Got it?
And in school, I think it's worth mentioning, when you're not doing a commercial setting like we are, we would probably have gloves on. when we peel any type of shrimp or working with chicken and those types of things. So I just think it's worth mentioning.
Okay.
All right.
I told him I felt safe, so
Okay.
it was all right.
There you go. Okay, so now we're going to take this little pan that I have some oil in the bottom. I'm going to also put some butter in the bottom for flavoring. Okay.
The oil on the bottom only coats the bottom of the pan very
Right.
lightly, very thin.
I'd rather not even have oil, but if you don't have oil, the butter will burn. So you have to have it.
That butter is really
Right.
a nuisance,
Butter-
isn't it?
butter has-
burning.
Unless you wanted to clarify it, but that's just a
Okay.
whole another show. So we can cover that in another show. So I'm going to do 5 shrimp here because we're going to do 4 for the dish, and Kathy likes to taste the food. Okay. Now for the stuffing, we're going to start here with, I've used lump crab meat. You can buy jumbo lump crab meat. It's just that the lumps are a little bit bigger, but it's a lot more expensive.
Would that make any difference in terms of the ease of stuffing the shrimp?
No. And it's like this. If you're going to bust up the lumps anyway,
Why?
I would
Why is
suggest just buying that type of crab anyway.
Okay, that makes sense.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put I've sauteed some peppers and some onions here, and that's primarily for a little bit of flavor and a little bit of color. Okay. I'm going to put some brown mustard in. A little
brown
spicy
mustard,
brown.
that's what I was just going to say. It's
Little
really
spicy
just
brown.
for the spice.
Spice, and I like the taste of mustard. I'm going to
Okay.
put some mayonnaise in here.
About how much mayonnaise did you put in?
Oh, I would say probably about 4 or 5 ounces. You could use this same mixture for crab cakes. Okay, so it has many uses. Okay, so I put some parsley in there. I put some mayonnaise, the mustard, a little bit of Old Bay seasoning,
Okay.
like so. And now I'm just going to mix this up.
What's in Old Bay anyway? What are the
Everything under the
mixture?
sun.
All right.
Okay,
That was easy.
Bay leaves, a little paprika perhaps, some pepper, some white pepper, a touch of salt. Okay, so there's a lot of different things in Old Bay. Okay, so you can see this. We want to make this stuffing enough so it'll bind together, but I don't like a lot of bready taste. Now, if I wanted to, I could shape these things into crab cakes, put them in the freezer, and then bread them, and it works exactly the same. Okay, I think it needs just a touch more breadcrumb, like so. And we're
Did you
gonna
make
mix
your
that
own
together.
breadcrumbs?
Did
Right
I?
out here, yeah.
I did not.
No.
But I'll tell you something though. I really like panko breadcrumbs.
Oh yeah.
That Japanese
Okay.
breadcrumb. But when I was out in the industry, if we had bread left over that didn't go out to the guests, we would put it on a pan, put it into the oven just with the pilot light on. And we came in the morning, it was dry enough, and we would grind them. So we made our own when I was
So
in the
what is
industry.
it about the panko that you like better than a regular breadcrumb?
It's more from fresh bread, and it
Okay.
gives a really crunchy, crispy coating to it. And it's
That's
become very,
interesting.
very popular. Although it's quite expensive, I think people kind of like it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use my hands again. Okay, I have no problem using my hands to cook with. Okay, and we're going to put a good amount of stuffing in each one of these, like so.
What's the typical serving size? 2?
For this,
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, depending. They had very large shrimp in the market today, so 10, 15 shrimp, probably 3 or 3 if I'm using 16, 20 shrimp. Okay.
Very nice looking.
Okay, so that's kind of what we would do there. So that's pretty much it as far as stuffing the shrimp.
Okay.
Now we have to get it ready to go in the oven.
All right, let's get this in the oven, and we will come back right after this. We'll taste the stuffed shrimp and move on from there. We'll be right back. Classic. For those of you just tuning in, I'm Kathy Koslet, and this is Executive Chef Dave Pembleton.
Hello.
And in the oven, he has his completed stuffed shrimp. Let's take a look. Okay, that looks great.
Look okay?
Yeah. Now that was in the oven for 7 minutes?
7 to 8, something like that. Okay, want to bring that plate over here, Kathy? Kathy likes to taste. So we're going to have one for Kathy to taste, and the rest we're going to put on the plate here.
On the plate.
Right. And like I said, serving size 3 or 4.
So besides the timing, do you also look for the doneness on the top of
Right.
the crab meat?
Yeah, I look for the firmness of the shrimp, and I can see that the shrimp are nice and white.
White.
And I also look for the brownness of the crab meat. The crab meat's starting to turn brown. Now, again, you don't want to overcook the shrimp. So you just want it to be done enough. And then, of course, we're going to need a garnish. So my garnish here is going to be a lemon twist.
So he just did a little slit in those and then gives them a little
Little bit of
twist
parsley
to
on
make
the
it
top.
look fancy schmancy over
And
here.
again, I don't like anything on the rim of the plate.
What is in your rice?
I just made a basic rice pilaf,
Okay.
which is sauteing a little bit of rice and onion, and then adding some broth. However much rice you use double that of broth. And then I cover that, and I let it cook till all of the liquid is gone. And then just for a little added excitement, I folded in some black beans, some corn, and some roasted red peppers, which gives it some really nice color. And what I did to get it to hold together like that, while it was hot, I forced it into a soup cup, put a piece of plastic on the top and really forced it in. Then when you invert it back on the plate, everybody says, ooh, ah, how'd you do that? And when they say, ooh, ah, you charge them more.
I think you should try it too because you're really tough on yourself and I think you'll be pleased.
You think
I
I'm
think
going to
you
like
will. Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
Yeah.
I think you'll like it too. You should really try it. And thank
Very
you
good.
all for joining us, and we hope you'll tune in again to Cooking Classic.